games. For the amusement of adults is called business. But when children play such games, they are punished by adults. And no one feels sorry, neither for the children nor for the adults, or indeed for both of them. Perhaps some refined arbiter of things would approve of my being beaten. The schoolmaster who beat me behaved no better than I, when being refuted by a fellow teacher in some pedantic question. He was more tormented by jealousy and envy than I, when overcome by my opponent in a ball game.
The spectacle manifests the essence of all ideological systems, the impoverishment, enslavement, and negation of real life.
I was not disobedient because I had chosen higher things, but for love of sport. In competitive games, I loved the pride of winning. I would tickle my ears with fantasy stories, which further titillated my desires. The same curiosity which mountingly increased my love of public shows. Public shows are the games of adults.
Mass pseudo-festivals, with their travesty of dialogue and their parody of the gift, may incite people to excessive spending, but they produce only a disillusion.
I have not yet discovered why I hated Greek literature when I was being taught as a small child. Latin I dearly loved. I was forced to learn about the wanderings of some legendary fellow called Aeneas, forgetful of my own wanderings, and to weep over the death of Dido, who took her own life from love. In reading this, I was myself, meanwhile, dying by my alienation from you, and my miserable condition in this respect brought no tears to my eyes.
The spectacle in its generality is a concrete inversion of life, and as such, the autonomous movement of non-life.
What is more pitiable than a creature without pity for himself, who weeps over the death of Dido, dying for love of Aeneas, but not weeping over himself, dying by his lack of love for you? I had no love for you. I committed fornications against you. And all around me I heard the cries, "Well done! Well done!" For well done is what they say to shame a man who does not go along with them.
The spectacle is not a collection of images. Rather, it is a social relationship between people that is mediated by images.
Over this I wept not a tear. I wept over Dido, who died in pursuing her ultimate end with the sword. I abandoned you to pursue the lowest things in your creation. I was dust going to be dust.
The spectator's alienation from and submission to the contemplated object, which is the outcome of this, his unthinking activity, works like this. The more he contemplates, the less he lives. The more readily he recognizes his own needs in the images of need proposed by the dominant system, the less he understands his own existence and his own desires.
If I had been forbidden to read the story of Dido, I would have been sad because I could not read what made me sad. This madness is considered a higher form and more fruitful form of literary education than learning to read and write.
The spectacle erases the dividing line between true and false, repressing all directly lived truth beneath the real presence of falsehood maintained by the organization of appearances. The individual, though condemned to the passive acceptance of alien everyday reality, is thus driven into a form of madness.
I bring no charge against the words, which are like exquisite, precious vessels. But the wine of error is poured into them for us by our drunken teachers. And if we did not drink, we were beaten.